Hello and g'day. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make a vellum pocket and a Christmas cracker booklet. If you've been looking for that little something to put in your Christmas journal, this might be just what you've been looking for. I've made the vellum pocket in the size that fits this small Christmas cracker booklet. The one I've picked is the one that has 2 to a page. If you look here, you'll see this cute little antique booklet is available in 2 sizes, and I'm using this one here. Tuesday Moriarty is one of our admins here at JunkJournalideas. Tuesday does a wonderful job helping out in the group. So pop on over to her Etsy shop and be sure and say hi to Tuesday when you see her floating around in the group. To get a copy of this booklet, just click on the link below in the description box and it'll take you to the Etsy shop here. I printed it out on this digital quality paper here. I printed all the odd pages first, then I fed them back into the printer and printed all the even pages on the other side. What I've actually done is I've also printed out an extra cover. I printed out all my pages on this digital paper here, and then I also printed out the cover on a better quality paper, which is the Epson matte double-sided paper here. It's made the cover much brighter and much more Christmassy, so you'll see the difference here. So now I've got my pages here in front of me. All I've done is I've followed the order of pages off the PDF. So I've got my iPad in front of me just to make sure that I've got the pages folded the right way. So I've got that one on my left, so I just fold it perfectly in the middle. I'll pick this up and I'll just put it inside the cover page. To get this right, the page on the right hand side needs to be showing on the top when you fold them in half. Then you open it back up and place it back in your booklet. Now I'll just continue on folding all of these pages in the correct order and collate them into the booklet, folding all the way through until they're all finished. Lucky last goes in the middle. Now I'm just going to pack them all up nice and straight and crease the fold line. You can use a bone folder to crease it as well. Now before I put my cover on, I'm going to trim back my pages. So just make sure they're all in there nice and tight. I'm just going to use a ruler and a craft knife to trim them back as well. I'm just using a Scotch craft knife here. It's got the little snap off blades, and I always make sure that I've got a really sharp blade when I'm doing this. It's okay to cut off a little bit of the print because that way it ensures that we get no white paper showing on the edge. And do the same on the top. 'Cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you. Turn it over and do the same on the bottom. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to? Now I'm just checking to see if there are any white bits showing. And if you do get any white bits showing, they're easy fix. See this piece here? You can see a little bit of white there at the bottom. I just use a bit of distress ink on that and it fixed it straight up. And we'll always get a little variation in an old book like this because it's a replica from 1888 and it's so old. I'm going to round the corners and I always do only a couple at a time, because if you've ever owned a corner punch, you know they're not that good. It's very hard to find a good corner punch. So I just pop a couple of pages in at a time. I'll go all the way through on the top right hand corners, and then I'll do the bottom corners as well. Now we're ready to sew the pages together. So I'll just clamp my pages together first so that we can poke the holes in the pages. I'm just going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch here. I'm not even going to use a template here. All I'm going to do is find the center to mark my center hole. And I'm just putting a light mark for now, 1 inch down from the top and 1 inch up from the bottom. Grab your phone book, and I'll just cradle the booklet semi-opened into the opened phone book. And this helps sort of hold it into position while I push the holes into place. Push that all the way through, and then just come down either 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch down from the top and up from the bottom, depending on how much or how long you want your stitches to be. I'm going to use a little bit of baker's twine in the red and white twist. Just add 3 times the length of your thread for this. I'm using a bookbinder's needle, but what I ended up doing was changing my needle out because the baker's twine was a little bit heavy, a little bit too thick for the eye of the needle. So I changed the needle out for one with a bigger eye. To start off doing the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, just push your needle through the middle hole from the inside to the outside of the cover, and just hold that tail down with your fingers so you don't pull it all the way through. Turn your book around. It doesn't matter which way you turn your book as long as you hold those pages together, and come up to the top or the bottom hole. Whichever hole you pick first doesn't really matter. And you just pull that stitch through. It's like one single running stitch. Miss the middle hole and then go up to the bottom hole and pull that through, and you've got now a long stitch in the middle. Turn it over, and we've got to put the needle into the middle hole, but you want to do it without putting the needle through the thread that's already there. You want to go beside it. I fold my book a little bit because that's the way I poke the holes in, so it seems to find that hole much better if you fold your book closed a little bit. Now my threads are coming out both on the same side, so I'm going to duck under that thread and have one coming out to the left and the right of the pages. So I don't need the needle anymore. I'll cut that off, and I'm going to pull my stitches tight. Not overly tight, but I definitely don't want them loose. See how they're loose there? I don't want that. You've got to have them snug. So I pull them up a bit tighter, and I don't pull them that way. I pull them along with the line of the fold and the line of the stitches. Tie a knot. And this baker's twine is a really good twine for holding knots. You can just put one knot there and leave it. I'm going to leave a tail on the thread as well because I'm going to put some little decorative charms on there. The bone folder is good for just giving a bit of pressure on that fold line of the booklet and just crease it down. I think the candy cane decorative butcher's twine looks really good with this booklet. Now I'm going to put the distress ink on the edges of the pages now. Just go all the way through the book and touch up those little white bits with a bit of distress ink, and then we'll head back and do the finishing touches with the cover, front and back. This is optional. You don't have to do this. You can call your booklet finished right now. But I've got this little one here that I think just looks so good in this. It's actually a bit richer. That's what I'm looking for, the words I'm looking for. The colour is a bit richer. So I'm just cutting out around the edge of the cover. And now I'm going to trim it back closer to the red. And it doesn't have to be neat because I'm going to grunge it up. I'm just doing a test fit and that's fitting very well. I'll just put some more distress ink around because the paper background is white. I don't want any of these white edges showing, so I'll just put the vintage photo around the edge. This is a Tim Holtz, like a edge distresser. You know, it just rips the paper a little bit. So it's got a blade in there. And I'm just going to just give it a hit and a miss all the way around the edges and rough those edges up a little bit so they look a bit aged. Now that I've done all of that, I'm going to come back and put some more distress ink on those little tears and glue this second cover onto the original cover. And that looks much happier. I love that. I love that lovely rich colour. See how much difference a paper can make to your prints? Same printer, I used exactly the same printer, just changed my paper. Now I'm going to do exactly the same to the back. I won't make you watch me cut it out. I'll cut it out, distress the edges and rough the edges up and glue it on, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make a little vellum pocket to put this booklet in. It's pretty easy to make, and the vellum I've got here has got a little bit of damage to it. It's just a bit of creased on the left there, if you can see that. So I thought rather than not use this paper, I thought I can turn it into a little pocket. So I'm just going to fold it over so it's got a small seam, and it just made it. It just fits this booklet. So I'm going to fold the sides. So I'm going to have my seam in the back. You can always have it at the side, but I wanted the sides to just have fold lines in them. So I'm going to have my glued seam at the center back. And I'm just going to crease that with my fingers. This has got a very soft hint of a Christmas tree, and it's a very, it's a muddy green. So it's perfect for this little booklet because it's like quite vintage looking. So I didn't want anything too modern to put this booklet in this type of pocket. I'm coming up the edge about roughly 1/2 inch, not quite. And this is going to be a fold line for the bottom, and I'm using my modelling tool. It's just got like a little ball on the end. And I'm going to cut off this top bit, but first I'm going to angle the bottom, angle the corners by cutting them off. I'm going to cut up to the line that I just scored. When I fold this over, this top piece here, I'm cutting off. That just reduces the bulk. Now we're just left with this back piece to fold over. I'm going to check the height of my booklet so I can cut off the pocket to exactly the right height. I'm going to use my square ruler and make sure that that line is straight. This back line here I'm going to leave straight, and the front I'm going to cut with some decorative scissors. I've got the zigzag, I've got this fancy shape, and I've just got this wobbly line. So I think I'll go with the fancy cut this time. So I only need to cut the front, all right, and I only need to cut between the fold lines. So I'm going to very carefully put my fold lines together side by side, but not crease the center there. And I'm going to cut a scoop out. So at the top there, where you see the fold marks, I'm going to start cutting lower at the center of the front, but then come back up to the very top there of the pocket. You see me heading back. It's like a bit of a scoop. Got to be a bit like Houdini not to crease your paper. And I just need to come swing those scissors around so you don't overcut. And that's just given me a shape at the front that scoops down. Now I'm ready to put some glue on the back. I'm using the Barely Art glue today. It's pretty good because it dries clear. You could also use a very narrow double-sided tape that would also show up reasonably clear. If you've got some vellum tape, even better. If the bottom of your pocket isn't folding properly because it's a little tiny bit too long, just cut that little slither off. And you'll find when you fold that bottom piece up, it just sits better. It just sort of gets it away from hitting that fold line. Glue the back together and then the bottom. We'll do a test fit and it fits perfect. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of embellishing on this bag because the booklet itself is doing most of the work. So I don't need to do a real lot here. So I'll just put a little bit of something on there. So I end up putting a little bit of this gold paper lace on the bottom, which is a sticker. I rip a little bit of the holly leaves, which is also a vellum. I rip a bit of that off and I glue that to the left-hand side. Really, that's all this needs. This pocket doesn't need a lot more because, like I said, I really love the booklet showing through the vellum. And it's got that very faint hint of the Christmas tree print on the vellum. I reckon you could pop this into a large pocket in one of your journals. I think it would look fabulous in a Christmas journal. It would be fabulous as a happy mail gift. It would be fabulous as a stocking filler. And then I pop the red button with the green bow on it. Here's a variation of another vellum pocket that I made just using washi tape and a few other bits and bobs that I had laying around. Have fun making your little vellum pockets, and I know that you will adore this little Christmas crackers booklet. I'm Donna, thanks for watching and bye for now.
Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.